Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Business Spotlight. Again, my name is Megan with Action Coach, and today I have the pleasure of meeting with Beth from Prism HR Consulting. And so, thank you again so much for joining us and for coming on to share your expertise and just your journey. And so, to kick us off, I would love for you to, again, just share who you are and how you got to this point in your business where you get to now celebrate your 20th anniversary.
Thank you. Thank you, Megan. And thank you for inviting me to be on the show. I really appreciate that. I've had my business. It'll be 20 years, November 1st of this year. So we're quickly approaching that milestone anniversary. And I have been a Las Vegas Henderson resident for about 30 years now and worked in the HR field throughout my entire career. But about 20 years ago, I had just been coming out of law school, graduated law school, and didn't really want to practice as an attorney and really was looking for some way to use my HR background experience. And I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. So I just kind of took a leap of faith and decided to start a human resources consulting business. And back, 20 years ago in the Las Vegas area, there really were not a lot of human resource consultants, but we did have a lot of entrepreneurs here. We had a lot of small to mid-sized businesses. Nevada is known and continues to be known as a wonderful place for entrepreneurs to come and build and start their businesses. And they really did not need full-time human resources support, nor could they really afford it because that's a whole other head count, whole other salary, et cetera, benefits and the like. And so I came up with a proposal that we would become their HR department, essentially, do everything that an internal HR department does, with the exception of payroll. We don't process payroll. And it really took off. There definitely was a need in the marketplace I was able to identify, and we were able to fulfill that need. And, since that time, we have grown, we've expanded, we've contracted based on different needs in the marketplace, different clients. But overall, I can say in 20 years, I really feel blessed and I have a lot of gratitude to the people and the colleagues and friends and family that really believed in us and supported us from the very beginning, and continue to do so today. I think one of the real honors that I have is that we don't do a lot of advertising. I do public speaking, I do some training and things of that sort, but we don't really pay specifically for advertising because we really haven't had a need to do so. The majority of our business is either referral based from happy clients, or we have clients who find us on our website. And those clients are predominantly people that are out of the country. So one of the exciting things that we've been able to do over the years is work with companies who've identified this area in the United States where they would like to open shop and open their business, but they need help navigating all the laws and regulations in the United States. And we know that is very complex. Compliance is a big issue for employers of any size. And so we help them do that. We help them open, get them situated. We make sure that they're in compliance with all state, local, and federal regulations. And it's really a pleasure to be able to see my adopted community grow over the last 30 years and be a small part of that in terms of helping these businesses thrive and develop here.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And I actually just learned that Nevada is the second most regulated state. And some of those regulations don't even make sense. They're not, it's so arbitrary in some of them. And so you being in that space, can you speak into that a little further?
Yes. So I actually, depending upon what regulations we're referring to, I would say from an employment law perspective, which is the space that I operate in, I would say that, the states on both coasts Specifically, California comes to mind, New York, state where I'm originally from, New York City, is very complex for employers. And I would go as far to say not very employer friendly. When it comes to all the rules and the regulations and the laws and things of that sort, it's very difficult to operate in those locations. And I think that's why we've seen such an influx of not only residents, but businesses wanting to adopt Nevada as their home. I think we are actually a very business friendly state. I was thrilled to see that Governor Lombardo has approved the Ombudsman small business position, which is a game changer. I mean, that is just a wonderful support that we have in our state government to support these businesses and business owners as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I saw that, what was it earlier this week, I think? Or
Yes, yeah. I think
yeah,
last week, yeah,
yeah.
maybe. Yeah,
So that was very, very exciting to see. And
yes.
yeah, I just the incorporation alone, I mean, there's just so many advantages to coming here to bring your business here. And so from like the human resources and employment standpoint, what have you noticed from starting with, those smaller businesses that can't really afford, or it just doesn't make sense to have an in-house HR? What do you see as some of their biggest pain points of like when they're bringing on their first hire and some of those best business practices?
Sure. So, I think bringing on your first hire, there's a lot of paperwork that has to be done, right, to check all the boxes, and that's both at the federal and state level. We assist with that. But I think even more is just getting that first hire. I was told a lot of people it's not 2019 anymore. And I have been in this industry, as I said, for over 30 years, and I have never seen a labor market quite like this. Good news is that we've had a lot of open recruitments from, hourly workers to executive level searches, and we have been successful in placing people and getting good quality candidates. But the process is not the same as it used to be, and it's not as easy. It's very challenging, both from the employee side or candidate side and the employer side, in terms of what both parties are looking for and how you can really come to an agreement on what that employment relationship is going to look like. Because what people are looking for and seeking in life and in work has changed dramatically, in the last few years. And I think almost every applicant I have interviewed, when I ask why they're interested in a certain position, and this especially goes to our nonprofit clients, people tell me that they want purpose. They
Yeah.
want purpose-driven work.
Yes.
And so people are really reevaluating their lives and what they're doing with them and how they're living. And I think employers in many regards have stepped up. And that ties back to everything from leave policies to flexible scheduling, remote work and things of that sort. But sometimes that's what employers are realizing they have to do if they want to be able to get quality candidates to work for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And so for us here at Action Coach, that's one of the first things that we cover with our businesses is, do you have a vision, a mission, and what is your culture?
Mhm.
Because to your point, more candidates, more individuals are looking at more purpose and mission driven opportunities. And
Right.
so we as an organization, that's massive. We are looking, our goal is to have a coach in every business, because
Mhm.
if we can support a business to thrive and become more diverse, then again, that extends out into the marketplace. And so
Absolutely.
big
Mhm.
cycle
Yep.
to that point. And it's really with having that abundance mindset of more is more,
Right.
more. And
Mhm.
and so yeah, so really to your point too, and I think that's the shift that I've noticed, and even the difference between some older business owners as opposed to some younger ones. And you do have
Mhm.
that this new generation coming in that are massively purpose driven. And so what would you suggest to anybody that is maybe having this as a challenge point of Okay, so how can we speak into that, and what are some good like hiring practices maybe around that?
So I think one of the things is, and you hit right on it, is culture. And that's one of the first things when working with a client, I ask, how would you define your culture? How would you describe it? And if it's not where you want it, it's not where you want it to be, what do we have to do to affect change? Because one of the things that I'm trying to figure out when I'm interviewing, it's not just about asking rote interview questions. It's really about digging deep and finding out if there's a fit there from a cultural standpoint too. Because if there isn't, both parties are going to be miserable and it's not going to work out.
Hmm.
So I want to be able to speak to that culture, to speak to what the candidate could expect, on the job. And if there's an opportunity and the business owners or companies are open to it, that's an opportunity for me to make suggestions. Like, let's take a look at your leave policies. Can this position be done even part-time? Is it, a hybrid position? Is there flexibility here? Can we cast a wider recruiting net, nationwide, for example, because there's great talent everywhere, but do we have to really stay focused in just one geographic area? Or
Mm.
can you expand this opportunity out because there's an opportunity with technology now that this person really doesn't need to be in the office? And while I see, employers and it's making the headlines saying, okay, everybody back in the office, the truth of the matter is that there's a conflict there because many employees do not want to go back to the office. They're finding that they're much more productive at home. They're finding that it helps with their stress levels. They save money on commuting costs, for example.
Mhm.
And really it gives them a lot more flexibility in how and when and where they get work done. And,
Yeah.
and so it's about changing a mindset of thinking that someone is only going to be productive if they're sitting in front of you or you can walk by their desk.
Yeah.
And so what I usually recommend is, going to goal-based performance metrics.
Okay.
If the person works most effectively at 3 a.m., who cares? I don't care. Sometimes I'm doing that. And some people do not thrive and cannot be as creative as you would like from the 9 to 5 hours. And personally, I'm one of those people. Definitely an entrepreneur through and through. I may work weekends. I may get a great idea at 3 a.m. and I get up and I get on the laptop. But it doesn't mean I'm not productive. And so it's about, I think, that paradigm shift, that mindset shift of I have other ways where I can measure performance, and it doesn't mean that I need to physically see someone. Because the truth of the matter is that employees are not working that full 8 hours
No,
anyway.
no, not at all.
Right? There's a lot of distractions that happen when you're in an office, and that is cutting into productive time as well. And really assessing how people work best, right? People want to work in more of a team-oriented environment. Do they want to work alone and they're more successful in that way? So play to that person's strengths and also look and see what flexibility you have in that position
Yeah.
and what you can provide.
Yeah, I like that. And I know that that's something that we've been doing as an organization as well internally, is identifying that. And that's something that we work with our businesses on as well. It's a question we like to ask is, do you know what you're paying your employee for, and do they know what they're being paid for? And so
Right.
it really is that
Mhm.
clarification on both sides. So you're setting that expectation, right? And
Right.
so everybody kind of knows what to do from there. Um, and so I know for us, we have some different hiring practices that we go through both internally and we teach our clients. One such as even when we're putting a resume out, for example, we want people to opt themselves out. And so,
Mhm.
and it really is, and I almost like liken it to like a dating profile of, I want somebody to see this and say, yep, that's me, that's what I want, or
Right.
nope, it's not. And so same thing
Right.
for a candidate. It's,
Mhm.
yeah, that sounds like me. That's a culture that I would want to be a part of, or nope,
Mhm.
that's not something I can fulfill. So what do you have anything that you suggest with that as far as like when a resume is getting put out? What is some information? Because there are some resumes out there that, oh goodness, I'm like, did you just copy paste a bunch of things? So what are your
Right.
suggestions on that?
Right. Yes. Well, I look at this from the employer perspective and the candidate perspective. So I'll start with the employer perspective. And what we do is that we draft a job posting. And we're very deliberate in that because words matter, tone matters. You have to, this is the only shot you have to present yourself, right, to the public and say, this is who we are as a company. This is what we believe in. This is our mission. And this is the opportunity we're offering. And so really, approaching that from a way that is going to shine that employer in the best possible light. We also do video candidate interviews. So our clients don't have to get involved in the recruiting process at all until we present viable candidates to them. And we do the video interviews because I think it gives a sense of communication style, how the person presents themselves, and you can get kind of a sense of, do I think this person's going to work and fit in with this team? What other questions come up as I'm listening to this interview that I want to make sure I ask this candidate when we schedule them for an in-person interview. But it really saves everyone a lot of time, including the candidate. From the candidate perspective, I would say that it's just like anything else. If you really want it, you have to put in the time and the effort. Typos, absolutely no place for them in a cover letter or a resume. Focus on keywords and focus on the job that you're seeking. You may have a variety of skill sets and maybe applying to positions that are in different industries or different jobs completely. You have to tailor your resume to that. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen resumes come across where the person has an objective in their resume, which is for a completely different position and a different job. It tells me that, they're not really putting the effort and the time in. So if they're not doing that for their resume and how they're presenting themselves, how are they going to be as an employee? It raises red flags. It raises questions. Formatting. One of the things I also do recommend, especially with, COVID and a pandemic we all went through, none of us came out of that the same person. If you had a gap in any employment, explain what that was for. If you were a caregiver for perhaps an elderly parent, or you were laid off from a position, explain in the resume, don't let us guess, about why you left a position. Maybe it was for a better opportunity, more money, say that. Especially if you have kind of a sporadic career history, because maybe you're a stay-at-home mom. That's fantastic. Hardest job in the world. Put it down there so that we know that you just, were out of the workforce, right? And so I think anything you can give to present yourself in the best possible way. There are such easy programs today to really jazz up your resume. The formatting and colors and use of that, they do really capture attention. And I think it's worth the investment because the right employer is going to find you if you're putting your best foot forward.
Yeah, I like that. So many great tips. Thank you for sharing that. And so when somebody is, going out there, there's a candidate that's seeking employment. And I like that you had, put in there too, like, just kind of explain it and tailor it. Because that's something, I mean, my daughter is going and interviewing for her first jobs. So it's taking her through that process.
Exciting, yes.
I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm like,
what is she looking for? I may want to hire her.
right? A
Yes.
job. It started very, very selective and went very broad.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot of people right now too, right?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
the landscape is different post-COVID
Mhm.
for everything, and especially for hiring, because I see it on both sides where you have these qualified candidates that are possibly even overqualified, but again, they just need a job. And so what is your advice on both sides for that? Because I've spoken to candidates that are applying, they're like, I just need a job. I don't even care. And then I've
Mhm.
also had conversations with business owners where they're getting these resumes and they're looking at it saying, okay, this person's overqualified. I'm just going to write them off. And so what is your suggestions with any of that?
Yeah, so that is true. I actually had a client who I presented excellent candidates. It was an executive level position, and um, the chief CEO person in that role didn't even want to get past looking at their resume, did not watch the video interviews. And the comment that I received back and the feedback was, oh, they're either overqualified or they just want to get to Vegas and they're going to retire.
Hmm.
And my response to that was, so what?
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, hey, it's rare you're going to see somebody stay at a job for more than like 5 years, right? Probably three, if there's no advancement opportunities or things of that sort. But you're in a crisis situation right now, and you need someone really good who
Yeah.
can come in here and do all of these things. If you can get someone who you believe to be overqualified, who has all this great life learning and knowledge and skills and experience, and they're willing to work for this amount of money and come out here and do this, why would you not jump on that opportunity?
Right.
It's beyond me. And I am not always successful with convincing employers of that, because there's still a mindset out there among employers that the person, I'm going to invest in this person and they're going to leave. Sometimes that is true. But I think with the proper vetting and asking the right questions, which is what we do, we can get to the heart of that and really kind of figure out. And I will ask people, what's kind of your time frame here? What are you looking at? Are you going to work another 5 years, 3 years? And I'll be upfront and honest and transparent about the concerns. And I think from the candidate perspective, it is rare that someone takes the time to write a cover letter. But in this particular situation, if you have candidates that are running into that, and it's usually, the higher levels, VP, executive levels, things of that sort, where we see this, take the time to write a cover letter or send an email if you find the person's contact information, and explain what your plan is. Explain, I'm planning to work another 5 years. I have family in Las Vegas, so I want to be moving closer to my grandchildren and my children, whatever. At least give some explanation, because, and I tell candidates all the time, the resume does not tell the whole story. That's why the interview is so important. And this is the resume is the first impression I have of you on paper, but it doesn't tell me who you are.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that's why we have an interview process. And so the more information you can give up front and anticipate concerns or questions that a recruiter may have, because the CEO is not seeing it, I am.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
not seeing you. They're not seeing the resume. The recruiter is, or the HR person is. And so we're the first line of filtering. If you tell us and you explain all that and don't make us guess, you have a better opportunity to get through. And then you can further explain that if you have an opportunity to interview.
Nice. Yeah, I love all of that and would definitely echo all of those things. And it's just, yeah, the less work we have to do on our end, just the better. And it's just, again, it's easier all the way around, right?
Right.
Um,
Mhm.
I have one last question before we wrap, and it's more so into kind of going back to not really the culture, but even just things that businesses can, or maybe it would benefit them to offer for their employees or for candidates to kind of set themselves apart so that they do get qualified employees to come join them.
Yes. So I have a few clients who are probably in that top 1% tier of what they're offering, which are things like unlimited PTO, paid time off, and paying, all the health insurance premium for the employee and maybe 50% toward dependents. I mean, that's really at the top echelon. And it doesn't necessarily mean that these are Fortune companies. I mean, I'm talking small employers who are just making the investment. I think the other thing is really thinking about just, I don't like to say work-life balance because I just don't necessarily agree with that term.
Yeah.
I think we just have a life and we need to manage it as best we can. And sometimes work is going to get 90%, and sometimes our families are going to get 90%, and it changes probably by the hour. But what I will say is just, being more sensitive and empathetic to the needs of your employees, because with technology now, we can't shut things off. We really can't. You can say, leave your personal issues at the door when you walk in the office. It's impossible.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone should have that expectation any longer. I think many times employees are on call 24/7, or they feel obligated to be. And so I think anything you can do from a cultural standpoint in developing a culture where it's okay to take time off, to maybe sabbaticals. I know that's usually in the university setting, but some private employers are starting to see how this can be beneficial. Really almost forcing people to schedule those vacations and that time off, and not accepting the employee saying, I really can't because I have this and this and this. There needs to be a way to manage that workload, and people need to take these time out. Stress is the number one killer. I have read a lot that it says it's like smoking equivalent these days. We have many sedentary jobs where people are not getting the physical activity they need. People are under incredible amount of stress for many different reasons. And so I think that while the employer is not, the parent necessarily in this relationship, more leave of absence policies, more flexibility. I know during COVID or times of high inflation, giving out gift cards for groceries and things of that sort, especially to hourly workers who may be making minimum wage, they can't make ends meet. And that's a stressor too. And if you think about it from an employer standpoint, you want safe, healthy, happy, productive employees. That's the goal, right? And you can offer that in a lot of different ways by alleviating stress in different areas of their lives.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to kind of wrap this all up, and thank you again so much for your time. And
Thank you.
if there's something you guys missed, because there's so much great information, like go rewatch, take notes, because a lot of great takeaways for everyone involved. But what are some things that are going on in your business that you would like to share? What are ways that business owners and people can get in touch with you? All of that great.
Sure. So we are, as I said, coming up on our 20th anniversary, November 1st. So we are, our website is having a facelift at the moment with all of that. So I'm hoping to launch that sometime in September. And our website is prismgmg.com. And we have an exciting new offering under our coaching platform, which is called Live Well, Work Well. And I'll be announcing a lot more information around that, but it's akin to a lot of what we talked about today, Megan, which is really about bringing a holistic approach to the employees and helping them not only navigate the workplace and their careers, but navigating the other areas of their lives as well. And so very excited to be offering this. It's been something that has been ruminating for me for about 10 years. Many people don't know, but I have several certificates in meditation and Ayurveda and nutrition and naturopathy and things of that sort. And so I'm bringing that to our platform as well, based on the knowledge and based on all the things that I have tried in my own life over the last decade. And so I'm really excited to bring this forward because I think that we are at a time in this world that people need this very much. And so I'm excited to be able to announce more information in the coming months on that.
Nice. Thank you so much. And we will be linking all of your contact information in the caption that will be added on to this video. So if you guys have any questions and need to reach out for all of the services that are provided and expertise, and definitely get in touch with Mary Beth. And that was another business spotlight. Have a good one.
Thank you.